Alright, good morning. Today, in the last video on this series, we disassembled the carburetors. Got them down to where we have just the bodies and they're ready to clean. In this video, I'm going to show you actually how to do the cleaning. This is the ultrasonic process. Hopefully this video is short, at least a little bit shorter than the last one. So I am going to use an ultrasonic cleaner to clean these carburetors. Historically, you might use some carburetor cleaner in a spray can or maybe carb dip. But this option, it works a lot better, and the first thing you're going to need is an ultrasonic cleaner. I got this one from Harbor Freight many years ago. At the time I think it was about 60 bucks. You can get them now super cheap on Amazon. This one is not big enough to actually hold the entire carburetor. I mean, it looks like it would be, but it sticks out above the maximum water levels, so you'll see how we deal with that. But you'll need an ultrasonic cleaner first, and in that ultrasonic cleaner, actually to do the cleaning, we're going to use some hot water, and this one's in a coffee tin because that's what I had. We're going to use some dish soap, and it doesn't have to be anything special. Any sort of dishwashing detergent will work. And then to clean the brass parts, I'm going to use apple cider vinegar, and I use this because it really brightens them up. So those are the three things you need. So let's go ahead, we'll get started. So go ahead and grab your water and fill it up. I fill mine up to the max line because, well, I need to get as much of the carburetor body into this thing as I can. My max line is right about there. And then I just give it a good squirt of dishwashing detergent. You know, nothing special. The amount doesn't matter. Just acts as a wetting agent. Mine has a heater, so I turn that on, and then mine's also got a timer. The max time you can run it is for 480 seconds. So I will put the carburetor in and I'll run it for 480 seconds on one side, and then I will flip it over and run it for 480 seconds on the other side. So let's go ahead. I think this thing will mess with the camera when I turn it on, but I suppose we'll see. Alright, so that has been now two 480 runs on all 6 sides. This carburetor body is looking pretty good. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know, hopefully you can see that with the reflection. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take it out of here, kind of pour all the water out of it, and then I'm going to blow out all of the all of the passages with compressed air. Ones that are critical, these two air intakes here, they tend to get clogged up. So you want to blow those out. You want to blow out the pilot hole, the main hole, the enrichment circuit, and where the enrichment plunger goes. This is going to be loud. Oh, and don't forget the pilot screw also. I've blown this one out. It's completely dry. It's looking pretty good. Before we put it together, I'll show you. We want to run a couple gauge wires through the enrichment, through the pilot hole, and through these air inlets, these air jets, simply because they get clogged up. They're super small, and even with the ultrasonic, sometimes it doesn't get them clean. So before we actually put this carburetor back together, I will show you that step. For right now though, we're going to continue with the ultrasonic. Just like we did on the body, put everything else, and I mean everything else, into the ultrasonic. I put the brass, I put the screws, float bowl, I put the gaskets in there, every other part of the carburetor, including the diaphragm, goes into the ultrasonic. And you're going to clean it just like you did the other one. We use it in there for at least a couple of 480 cycles. I'm going to move the parts around after they're clean or as they clean to make sure I get all sides. These parts have been in here for 480 cycles. They look good, I think they're clean. So what I do now is, just like the carb body, pull them out and make sure everything is clean, and then blow it off with compressed air. I've kept the brass parts separate and I've put them in a little glass jar. I like to actually give them a 90-second or so run in vinegar. And what that does is it cleans them up really nice. It almost makes them look brand new. So the way I do that is I put them in a jar, I add some vinegar, and then I sit them very carefully inside the ultrasonic. You want to make sure that the water doesn't rush in. And then I run them through a single 90-second cycle. So these parts have been in here now for 90 seconds. I just shut them off. What I'm going to do now is get them out of this vinegar, and I'll lay them out on a towel here so you can kind of see how they came out. They look a lot nicer than they did when they went in. You can see some of them still have a little bit of corrosion on them. So what I like to do is just give these a quick wipe down with a magic eraser of all things, and that really brings out a polish. I've cleaned up all the parts for this individual carburetor. I think this is carb number 3. The last thing to do before I call this carburetor itself clean, I like to pass a gauge wire through the enrichment, through the holes in the main jet emulsion tube, as well as through the jets and some of the other brass parts. The way I get that gauge wire, I don't buy a carb gauge set. Instead, I use just a length of copper stranded wire. If you strip some back and you grab just one strand, that's about the right size to get through most of the ports in the carb. So what I do is, once I have that strand, I take it and I just insert it in through all of these small ports. So that one there is the enrichment. I did feel something when it went in there, so I probably pushed out a clog. But I'll do that same thing for every hole that I can find in the carb body. I'll repeat that same process for the jets. So like the pilot jet is really small, it likes to clog up. So I'll pass that through and make sure it's clean, as well as any other holes. So if you do that and you find anything, like I found a clog in this enrichment, I'll blow that back out with compressed air to make sure it's clean. But once this is done, you should have one clean carburetor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish the other 3, and I will come back when I have all 4 as well as the other parts clean. You know, I should also mention, when you're pushing your gauge wire through, don't forget these 2 air jets on the very front of the carb. I've seen those plug up and they look like they're clear, but if there's anything in there, you'll have the same running issues that you would find if you had a dirty enrichment or you had a dirty pilot circuit. So don't forget those when you're using your gauge wire to clean out the rest of the... Alright guys, I'm going to call this video done. I've showed you how to clean one carburetor, and the other 3 are exactly the same. Actually, same process applies for the brackets and the screws, the fuel rail tubes, and the enrichment parts. So I will finish cleaning the other 3 carburetors, and when I have that done, I'll put together a video on how to assemble these. So if you're interested in how to put these carburetors back together, keep an eye out. So appreciate it. Thanks for watching.